Roll call starting at my left.
Homer, City Council Member.
Shelby Carcelari, City Council Member.
Ronnie Price, Mayor.
Mike Warrington, City Council Member.
Troy Tabor, City Council Member.
Buck Buchanan, Police Chief.
Donna Davis, Chief Financial Officer.
Lance Onstott, Assistant City Administrator.
Chad Russell, Fire Chief.
Rick Lance, Director of Public Works and Utilities.
JT Klaus, City Attorney with Krista Turner.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Susan Renner, City Clerk.
Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator. And Mr. Mayor, I do believe Dr. Ford's on Zoom for you.
Okay.
Dr. Ford, City Council Member.
All right. And now we'll do invocation. John Langley with East Point Church of Christ is going to lead us in prayer. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Let's pray. Father, as these men and women in this room are striving to do the best for our community, I pray that your wisdom will be their wisdom and that your understanding will be their understanding and that they're putting their best efforts in on taking care of our community. I ask you to bless them tonight, ask you to watch over them and continue to work through them for as many days as they see fit to do this job. Father, we praise you for giving us life, and I ask you to help us to see it through your Son. His name is Jesus. Amen.
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 All right. If you would stand and join us in Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This time I'm going to open the floor to public forum. If you have something you'd like to share with us, state your name, your address, and keep it short. No takers? Public forum's closed. Acceptance of agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Did you hear Joe?
Joe, did you go?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Homer. Citizens request, and Katie Cork, one of my favorite peeps, is going to give it to us tonight.
All right, so I got a couple of these tonight, so we'll be up here for a little bit, but I'll try to keep it short. So the first one, we have Cassie and Jessica here from the Be Curious Learning Collective to talk about they're interested in a conference cabin and they'd like to request a reduction in fees. So I don't know if you guys have anything you'd like to say, but the information's in your packet as well.
Hi, my name is Cassie Tensman. I grew up and went to Andover schools for all 13 years, but I am now here raising my children. And we homeschool, have always planned to homeschool, even before COVID. And one of the things that comes up is I'm a working parent and my husband also works. And there's a lack of opportunities for kind of a part-time drop-off childcare for school-age kids in all of Wichita and especially in Andover. So we received a grant from the Vela Education Fund in order to fund a sort of drop-off homeschool, more of a collective. The plan is to hire a teacher and do 2 4-hour days a week for kids where it's not necessarily focused on the core subjects, but more hands-on, nature-based, to also kind of provide a respite for parents who want to homeschool, but maybe think it's too much to take on doing it full time. So I kept driving by the conference cabin and I thought it was perfect. It's, got the great pond and nature area plus an outdoor space where the kids can be. And so that's kind of, I reached out to see about using it and we've kind of just started the conversation from there. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the program. It's still in its infant stages, but we hope to start in September.
Anyone have any questions?
I'd just like to see that we're using it. So thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve Be Curious Learning Collective's request for a fee reduction as proposed for the use of the conference cabin.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Give me 1 second.
What the mayor gave our young attendee out in the audience there is a little pin for City of Andover. So thanks for coming tonight.
All right. 7-2, request to waive, is that the right one?
Yep.
Facility fee.
All right, so next up, we have Shane Loy from the Andover YMCA, and he is also requesting to use the conference cabin. And he's requesting to waive the fee. He's going to talk a little bit about the YMCA as well.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me out. It's good to see everybody. I feel like I get to see everybody as much as I used to in the last 3 months, but it's great to be here and see everybody in the room. So I can give an update on the why too, if you guys want to hear that. But first, just looking at the use of the conference cabin as well. So glad a bunch of people are requesting to use that. Our advisory board meets once a month, Wednesday nights, 5 o'clock, and we just need a place to meet just to go over still continuing the mission of the Y in our community and continuing programming and what we can do for the community still without a building, without walls, which the Y is still really good at. So we can still excel and we can still bring the mission here as well. So we're just asking to use the conference cabin Wednesday nights, 5 o'clock. And we're just asking if the city would allow us to use that with the fees waived as well.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the Andover YMCA's request to waive the fee for use of the conference cabin on, I guess, whenever they want.
Second.
Wednesdays at 5 o'clock.
Thank you.
Second.
Mike seconded it. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Yeah, we'd love an update on the why if you would like to give us.
Yeah, for sure. So we started the process just like everybody else through the city with going through with the insurance adjusters. And this is one of the largest projects that the insurance has ever taken on. So that did take quite a bit of time. We had to go through and inventory everything in our building. First, just want to point out the fact that we had 7 staff that were in the building all under the age of 22. And that they made sure that 30 people came out of our building perfectly safe. Babies, children. So they responded. The way that they responded was just phenomenal, and we're just super proud of all of them. And then just thank the city for their response to with us coming in and being able to get to the building, being able to assess the building, being able to look at it, and everything that the police and the fire were able to help us and assist with that. So we really appreciate that as well. We, right now we are working on bringing it down to steel and concrete just to see what the structural inside can look like. We've gotten pretty far into that process. We're taking out everything because everything is waterlogged, all the electrical, all the walls. So anything that wasn't steel and concrete, we have to take out of that building and make sure that it's still structurally safe. We are hoping that we can save that west end, and that's what's looking promising right now. Is the west end from the emergency doors over, if you remember our building. So that would be the lobby, the kids zone, the family center, rock wall. Of course, the early learning center, the offices and the locker rooms are mainly what's going to be reconstructed and rebuilt. So that way we can have that building open and ready for the community. It will take some time. There is a long lead time on ordering the kind of units that we need. Our HVAC units are the size of a car. And anybody that's in construction, they know that it takes a long time to get those. So right now we're trying to work through the process of getting the building to where we can start ordering those supplies. So that way we can get them in and then start the reconstruction process. So I don't really have a timeline on that, but once we can get those ordered, we can really start moving and move quickly to get the building back open. And as we can get things done, then we'll serve as much as possible. So right now the turf had to be redone. So that had to be ripped up and relaid down. And we have a timeline on that for August 12th. So that'll be open for the fall season. We normally have about 1,000 kids in soccer and flag football, and we hope to serve 1,000 kids here in the fall. Or sorry, not hope. We will serve 1,000 kids here in the fall with flag football and soccer. And we also have a red barn out there with a bunch of weights and things like that, so we can do boot camps and trainings. And I'm sure we'll have the fire department out. I know they've been itching to work out with the Y and things as well. So we can start doing some workout classes as long as the weather allows for us.
Okay. Anything we can help you with, let us know. I can't imagine what it'd be, but we're there to support you to the extent we can. So
yeah, appreciate it. I look forward to coming back. That's for sure. And the building's going to be brand new when it's done. It was brand new when it got taken out by a tornado, and it'll look even nicer when we're done. I can promise you that. So
it's an opportunity, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Thanks, Shane.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Private reservation request 7-3 platform promotions.
All right, next on the list. Told you I'd be up here a while. We have platform promotions here. Chuck Bird is here to talk about the Grub and Groove Festival on August 20th and the Andover Country Music Festival on August 19th.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council, City officials, Chuck Bird, Platform Promotions. Want to say thank you for giving us an opportunity to come and talk about the Grub and Groove Festival as well as the Andover Country Music Festival this year. We haven't been here in a couple of years due to COVID, but we're excited about coming back. The last time we were here, we did a gospel fest on Friday night. And so we decided to change up a little bit and do a country show this year. And so we're excited to bring the Andover Country Music Festival on August the 19th. You can see it on the screen there. Your headline is going to be Coffee Anderson. A little bit about Coffee. He does have a series on Netflix called Country Forevermore. Very prolific artist and family man, not to mention he's a Christian. And so that goes a long way with us. And so we also have a local group, Mountain Deer Revival, here from the local area. And then Kylie Fry. I'll tell you that it's been somewhat difficult to get the artists booked from the standpoint of them getting to Andover or getting to Wichita by flight. For some reason, it's just been very difficult to find an artist that is kind of centrally located that can get here. And so they kind of view Andover as a B market. And our objective is to change that philosophy. And so we went through actually to find the last artist, we went through 4 artists that had their schedule open to come on the 19th. But we were able to solidify it. So we're excited about the Andover Country Music Festival. And then on Saturday night, we're back to the Grub and Groove Festival, which our lineup is going to be R&B. We have a gentleman by the name of Ron Gutierrez from Kansas City who's going to be our opening act. We got a lot of feedback from our millennials in regards to their parents coming to the Grub and Groove Festival and coming home and telling them how much fun they had. And so we tend not to lean toward, no disrespect to the millennials, but that's not our genre. But we tend to lean to the 35 and up crowd. But we have one guy on there that's in that RAM that is going to be able to give that genre a shot in the arm. But then it's back to our old school artists, the Daz Band, Rolls Royce, Car Wash, and Confunction, and Karen White. And so the format is pretty much going to be the same, where we have the artists and we also have the vendors that's coming in, the food vendors, as well as the merchandise vendors for those that haven't seen a Grub and Groove Festival. I will tell you, based on what we're seeing so far in ticket sales, people are wanting to get back out. And so we want to make sure that we create a safe environment for them to come into. We did meet with the police department today, Captain Ben and Captain Tom, to talk about what the security would look like internally as well as on the outside. And so for the most part, they're comfortable with the plan of action. We talked about the inclement weather issue. And so we talked about things that are important to the community. And we discussed that in the meeting today. And so I will be forwarding them the information for our in-house security that will provide security on the inside. We also did a walk of the grounds. And so I understand that the pavilion won't be there this year, but we're going to call an audible and we're going to keep it moving. Our plans is to bring in for our VIP guests, we're going to bring in a portable restroom outside of our standard porta potties for our guests. And so I know, Mayor, this is the first time you've seen the Grub and Groove Festival, so we're excited to put on this show. And so we asking for the opportunity to do it this year again with the closing of the library on Friday. I think the times are in your handouts, as well as on Saturday for the events. On Friday, the gates open at 5 and the show starts at 7. On Saturday, the gates open at 3 and the show starts at 5. Typically, this event is over around 11 o'clock. We stop serving our guests when the last act goes on. And our last act normally performs about an hour and 15 minutes. And so we typically stop serving at that time. And so that's going to be our practice moving forward, both Friday as well as Saturday. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I guess one, I see this is the last year of our agreement. Have you been happy with it so far, thus far?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. And I wanted an opportunity for, I know we have some new city council people as well as the mayor. I wanted them to really see how this event goes before we come back to this committee and ask for an extension on the festivals. We do have some ideas we want to do moving forward, but we're going to table those until you guys have a chance to see how these events go, and then we'll come back and revisit.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
One minute, please. I do agree with your comments about our venue. It's one of the best ones around. So I too want to, and as well as the governing body and staff, want to make it the premier venue of the area. So thank you for making that comment. I appreciate it.
I will say that Wichita's pulling, I said, unless you're going to build an amphitheater like Andover, we're not going to have that conversation. So,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
It was glad to see you come back this year. So it's always been great in the past.
Yeah, we're excited. We got some new exciting things to interact with the crowd. So it's going to be a fun time.
Awesome. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve platform promotions request to close Central Park south of Bush Parkway from Friday, August 19th at 4 p.m. through Saturday, August 20th at 11:59 p.m. Allow for the sale of goods and services on public land and allow food trucks to vend in the Central Park during the reservation.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
7-4, request to shoot fireworks, police and fire community cookout.
All right, now it's just me up here. So the Police and Fire Community Cookout is happening on August 2nd. Normally this event happens in June, but obviously that didn't happen this year because we weren't ready for it. So this year they tied it to National Night Out. And what we're doing here is just approving the request to shoot fireworks as required by city code. I do have one change to the recommended action in your packet. Since this was written, we talked with the fire department and they're just shooting consumer grade fireworks. So it's just a 200-foot radius that's needed. So there's no need to close the road. So you can just take that part out. So.
All right. Any questions?
So none of the roads?
Right. We don't need to close any of the roads. Just need the official permission to shoot fireworks.
Where are we thinking about lighting these off at? We have a area.
Yes, there is it should be in your packet. There's a map.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
But
looked at it.
basically
I
it's
just had a
right off
senior moment.
the dock by the lake, I believe, over by the shelter by the lake, behind the amphitheater.
Chief Russell, you see any problems with the fireworks?
I do not.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the request to shoot fireworks at approximately 9:15 on August 2nd, 2022 during the Police and Fire Community Cookout and approve, no,
That's it.
that's it.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I did have one comment since you asked the question. If it continues to stay as dry as it is, I will have some concerns. Not that we would need to stop the show. We always do a standby, but I would probably have some more apparatus down here because without a doubt, we'll have little spot fires. We'll need to get on them very quickly. But we'll take care of that. We got you.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 7-5.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just real quick, if the fire chief, either chief, if you guys have anything that would, something a volunteer could do, whether it's watch cars or, the traffic or something, I mean, I definitely would volunteer so that your guys could enjoy the cookout. So if there's,
We'll put you to work.
yeah.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. We actually encourage all council members, mayor, everybody to come out and enjoy it. And definitely, we've got stations you can hand out food. We've got the captains are going to be the ones grilling. So, but yeah, please come out there.
Okay.
All right. 7-5, request for food trucks, Gridiron Pep Rally.
All right, last one for the night, and then you don't have to see me again. But so on June 28th, the Gridiron the Central Gridiron Group came to request to close the park for their event and waive fees for their event. But during that, we just forgot to add food trucks to the request. So that's all this is just that official approval for food trucks.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
move to approve Central Gridiron's request to allow food trucks to vend in Central Park on September 14th, 2022 during the duration of the event.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Consent agenda. 8-1 through 8-6.
7.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve consent agenda items 8.1 through 8.7 as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Revenue neutral rate, Donna Davis. Resolution to set hearing date.
Yay. At an earlier council meeting, it was determined that we did want to exceed the revenue neutral rate that has been submitted to the county. Our next step in this process then is to set the date for the public hearing, which has to be held between August 20th and September 20th. So we're asking for Tuesday, August 30th, to have the public hearing for the revenue neutral rate, to hear any concerned citizens.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Donna, as our financial officer, do you see any issues or anything with issuing this?
I don't, even if we decide that we're going to lower, right now we have a flat mill levy. Even if at some point we decide we wanted to lower that, it's always a good practice to say we're going to exceed the revenue neutral rate, because even if you exceed it by $1, you get yourself in trouble. So it's best to do it, and we just have to have the public hearing. There will be, the county will be sending out the mailing to all residents, explaining all the different entities that will be exceeding the revenue neutral rate.
Thanks, Donna. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution setting a public hearing regarding the city of Andover's intention to levy a property tax exceeding the revenue neutral rate for Tuesday, August 30th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at 1609 East Central Avenue to hear testimony from all interested taxpayers desiring to be heard as required by the state law.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 10, 2023 budget, 10-1 notice setting public hearing.
I get to speak again. Basically, this is now the budget where we have the citizens can come and talk about whether or not they agree, disagree with what we're doing. We'll adopt the budget at a later date, but this is the public hearing so that the citizens have an opportunity to come in. Basically, nothing's really changed since our workshop that we held, other than we did adjust the estimate for the assessed valuation down to account for those residents that are requesting tax relief from the county for their tornado damage. It's a guessing game. We looked at all the different properties that have already been approved, which is they can be approved from April 30th through the end of the year. So they'd get a 67% assessed valuation drop. We know based upon the level of damage, how much other homes are being relieved. So we looked at all those other properties that haven't filed yet, and we did a rough estimate of what that assessed valuation would be, and we adjusted it down so that we're in line with what we think will be the valuation.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Will the folks that are affected by that, as far as the valuation, will they be able to take advantage of any of the NRP stuff, the neighborhood revitalization program?
If their home happens to be in the neighborhood revitalization district or boundary, they would be able to. However, if you'll think about how that program works, it's not great public policy to encourage that, because if we do, what we're going to do is we're going to encourage them to not do anything until after January 1st, because this abatement that Donna's talking about goes effective April 30th, the day after the tornado. So on January 1st, which is what the NRP is based on, their value would still be what the value was of that home pre-tornado.
Gotcha.
So it would be in their best interest then to not begin any building until after January 1 of 2023, which would quite frankly not be the public policy we're trying to promote, because of course we would like people to clean up their lots. That's why we have our 15% policy. That's why you're going to hear from Chip here in a little bit, and move things forward as quickly as possible. But it is allowable for those that live in the district.
Thanks, Jenny.
Mhm.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the notice setting the public hearing for the 2023 City of Andover budget for Tuesday, August 30th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Andover City Hall, and publishing the mill levy rate at 43.831 mils.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Donna, approximately how many homes have not filed?
It's
That you
easier to
guys
say
thought-
how many have.
Okay.
I think it's around 37, around 40-ish that have filed.
Yeah, I was really thinking about those that haven't, though. You'd said that maybe you had figured ones that could, but have not yet.
And we looked at whether or not their home initially was rated after the first inspection as uninhabitable, habitable, but dangerous. What level of damage was done to it?
Sure. I guess what I was, the end of what I was trying to get to would be, would it be, I don't know what the word is. Why wouldn't we reach out to the ones that have not done it and let them know that it's an option?
The
Just in
county's
case.
reached out to all as the taxing entity and the one that administers all the taxing programs and actually is the one who abated this value. They've reached out multiple times. Now, what we learned in the days after the tornado is communicating with people whose homes and mailboxes no longer exist is not easy. So I would be happy to reach out to the county and find out if, what that communication has looked like, if it's been
I think it would be
one mailing,
fair.
two mailing, phone calls, what they've done.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you from experience that I've received one letter from the county in the mail, and that's about it. And I haven't done anything yet. So dang it, Mike. I know. All right. I just want to, that's a rough thing to go through. I just want to make sure they're covered any way we can in that way. So
The other thing we could do, Councilman Tabor, is we can make sure the case managers through the United Way are asking all of the clients, and they do have 187 open cases
Yeah.
if they've received their documentation and if they've contacted the county. So I'd be happy to do that as well.
Thank you. That'd be
Mhm.
great.
All right, any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Zoning Amendment 11-1 Village Crossing PUDZ 2022-01. And Les will talk to us about that. And do I read this? Yes. Before we start that, I need to go through this, excuse me, rezoning checklist. This is an application requesting an amendment to the Village Crossing Preliminary Planned Unit Development Plan to amend Parcel 3 to allow for the use of Quick Lube Oil Change Facility generally located at 301 South Andover Road, Andover, Kansas. Before we proceed with the hearing, I'll ask the council if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they have a conflict of interest.
No.
No.
I do not.
I will now ask the council if any of them have received any ex parte verbal or written communications prior to this agenda item, which they would like to share.
No.
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 Has the city clerk received any protest petitions of this case?
No protest petitions have been filed in the office of the city clerk within the 15 days following the planning commission hearing on April the 19th, 2022.
I now ask the council members if they have all received copies of the draft minutes of the planned commission, April 9th, 2022, which summarizes the hearing on the case.
Yes.
I have.
Yes.
I now call on I now call on the city zoning administrator to provide us with a report on this case.
This amendment is really pretty simple and self-explanatory. There are 2 vacant lots left in the Village Crossing planned unit development that's down on South Andover Road between Village Road and Lexington Street. One of those lots has a potential buyer who intends to build a quick lube facility. The permitted uses in the planned unit development didn't include auto services like a quick lube. So they've been to the Planning Commission, held the public hearing. Planning Commission has recommended unanimously that this amendment be approved to add that single use to Parcel 3.
Okay, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Are there any questions to the zoning administrator from council members? What's your thoughts on traffic? Because that's already, there's a turning lane in front of the other portion, correct?
The dedicated left turn lane doesn't begin until 300 or 400 feet south of this location. A quick lube facility is not a huge traffic generator, like for instance, a
Dunkin' Donuts.
restaurant or something along those lines.
There will be 2 entrances. Will there be 2 entrances?
There are shared entrances
Shared,
that
yes.
every parcel shares an entrance with its adjacent neighbor.
Okay.
All right. Have any other questions? Have any written communications been received? No.
The office of the city clerk has not received any.
Are there any questions to the applicant from city council members or city staff?
No.
No.
Would you like to, public comments, we would like to welcome everyone interested in this agenda item to come to the podium and give your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. The governing body has been provided the draft minutes, and the video of the public hearing has been made available, so please limit your comments to information not previously shared at the public hearing held on April 19th, 2022. Does anyone from the public have any new information? Does the applicant have any further responses to public comments? No. Assuming the council has received all the information they need on this case, you have received an outline of the choices provided under state statutes for council action KSA 12-757C. How do you wish to act?
Mr. Mayor, John Chamberlain is here in the audience on behalf of the applicant, if you have any questions for him.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. John Chamberlain with Kimley Horman Associates. We are the engineering firm that has been representing this project. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have regarding the PUD amendment.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I guess considering what's all along that strip, I don't know if I can make, I feel like the quick lube doesn't really fit with everything else that's along the strip today. And even based upon some of the data that we were looking at during our last night, during our strategic planning or our long-term vision, seeing that there's a really low amount of open spaces for businesses anyway. I wonder why this would be the type of business that would be thought to go in this spot, because it really doesn't fit anything around it.
Well, I think we're looking at what the zoning classification is, and that it seems to fit the overall character of the zoning classification. When you kind of look at the overall land uses that have been identified for that particular zoning, it is definitely within the character of what has been defined within that zoning district.
So a quick lube is zoned in the same way that office space would be?
Well, I mean, there's more than just office space uses that are identified in the permitted uses, even on the original PUD plan.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying it just feels like it's not the right thing for that spot, but I understand business and use your land to make money. I totally get that. I just wish it had been something a little different, but it is what it is.
Any other questions, Shelby?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt an ordinance approving the recommendation of the Planning Commission for zoning case Z-2022-01, amending the Village Crossing Preliminary Planned Unit Development Plan.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just one real quick question, maybe just a discussion. If that was somewhere else, where would you think it would be a better spot?
Well, I didn't really think about that specific thing till now, but there's certainly at least two other places in Andover that have similar service type areas, like between Collision Center, for example, and where Myers is.
Or down by Dillon's.
Or down by Dillon's. There's already that type of atmosphere and different types of businesses around. It seems like a better fit, but again, I mean, this person owns this land and they need to make their best use. I mean, it's for investment purposes and
I agree.
Business, but I just feel like it doesn't fit there.
Yeah, because the rest of them are office spaces that are in there. There's
a restaurant. I mean, you have food right next to a Jiffy Lube. I mean, that's not necessarily the best thing to have, I think.
Yeah.
Get your little change and have a sandwich.
Yeah. Would your Dunkin'? I don't
know.
I
do like my donuts.
I don't know. It was, you started making me think, so.
Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
We need to, in closing, persons aggrieved by this final decision of the council on this matter have 30 days after today's action within which to appeal to the district court. All right. 12-1, Hodges 6th edition bid award street improvements. Rick's gonna speak with us about that.
Mr. Mayor and Council, as the utility work, water, sewer, and such is starting to wrap up, the developer has, and the engineering firm has pushed on through to go ahead and start the paving part of this project, the subdivision. So this is the next logical step in the process that we go through quite routinely. There was nothing out of routine for this particular bid award. The bids are within the petition limits, and excuse me, and staff is recommending approval. This happens to be 100% special assessment. There is no city participation in on this particular subdivision. I would be happy to stand for any questions should council have any. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from Pearson Construction, Wichita, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $281,818.98, and reject all other bids, and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for street improvements to serve Hodges 6th edition.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Did we do, we got 4-1 on that last vote, correct? Okay. Okay. 13-1, city close, no? Cancel that one, okay. It's okay, my fault, I can't read. Unsafe structures, 717 East Menhaw Avenue. Chip is gonna speak with us about these.
Yes, sir. Thank you, council. So we have three this week to present to you: 717 East Menahaw, 810 Cherrywood Court, and 822 South Stonewood. All these structures have been inspected by myself and deemed to be unsafe and to present a danger to the community.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution fixing the time and place and providing notice of a public hearing before the governing body, the city of Andover, Kansas, to consider the condemnation and ordered repair or demolition of a structure at 717 East Menahaw Avenue that is a public nuisance, dangerous, or unsafe. Said public hearing shall be held October 11th, 2022, 7 p.m. at 1609 East Central Avenue, Andover, Kansas.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 14-2, 810 Cherrywood Court.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh,
go ahead.
Pick one.
Thank you, Homer. Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution fixing the time and place and providing notice of a public hearing before the governing body, the city of Andover, Kansas, to consider the condemnation and ordered repair or demolition of a structure at 810 Cherrywood Court that is a public nuisance, dangerous, or unsafe. Said public hearing shall be held October 11th, 2022, 7 p.m. at 1609 East Central Avenue, Andover, Kansas.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 822 South Stonewood.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution fixing the time and place and providing notice of a public hearing before the governing body of the city of Andover, Kansas, to consider the condemnation and ordered repair or demolition of a structure at 822 South Stonewood Street that is a public nuisance, dangerous, or unsafe. Said public hearing shall be held October 11th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at 1609 East Central Avenue, Andover, Kansas.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 15 wastewater department purchase. I don't even, Kassar, is that how you say it?
Kaiser.
Oh, I need to put my glass down. blower motor replacement. And Rick's gonna talk to us about that.
Mr. Mayor and Council.
Unless Brian wants to. Brian, you want to talk about it? No, go ahead, Rick.
He's here in case you all stump me on a question. So every year we in our capital improvement, we budget 90,000 just in case one of these goes down or two of these goes down. These are critical elements in our plant. The blowers are critical in the operation, quite frankly. And on the 4th, we had the pleasure of one failing. It blew the doors off the container. So it was no one was out there, but I'm sure it was quite loud when it went. This is an item that is a single source because the motor is specifically made by Siemens for this particular blower. So while the blower is still functional, the motor that's inside of it has to be replaced. So we just have to get it from Fluid Equipment. It's the only place we can source that. The price for the new motor is $19,541.93. It's well under what we had in our CIP for the year in case we had to make a replacement or a large repair on these. I would be happy to stand for any questions if you have any, or Brian Walls can answer any if you have any in particular for him. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So I'm glad no one was there when it happened. How long does it take before Brian or staff saw that it was, because from your pictures, I mean, it's definitely destroyed, right? So yeah, I mean, our SCADA system would probably send off alarm on that, but we visit the plant daily. And we do that because of these type of things. So we can, some things might not get caught in your SCADA or whatever, and we have to do certain things anyway. So there's someone that's at the plant daily, including holidays and Sundays and weekends. Wow. Glad no one was hurt.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize the purchase of a Kaiser blower motor from Fluid Equipment, Riverside, Missouri, in the amount of $19,541.93.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 15-2 sewer combination truck purchase.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, this is by far the largest piece of equipment inside of the wastewater treatment department, and is a very critical piece of equipment. This is what we use to go and clean our lines. Probably hindsight, we probably should have included a map of our line cleaning. We have a very aggressive line cleaning program. I would like to think that that's the reason we have so few backups that are on our side. And I don't know how to put a value on preventing a sewer backup. If anyone's ever been to a house that had a sewer backup, you'd understand that's something you don't want. So I take a lot of pride in the limited amount of backups that are on our side. We do get some of them are beyond our control, but we have a pretty aggressive line cleaning. We clean lines earlier than every 4 years. Some of our neighboring cities, they're hoping to get to them every 10 years, to give you an example. So that does keep that down. This is our biggest piece of equipment for that we use. We had been talking to the vendor, and we ran into that vendor at the Rural Water Conference this year, and they mentioned that there were some price increases coming. Also, in talking with them, that based on our trade-in values and so forth, that we should probably increase the time frame when we want to purchase it. So our trade-in value is better. So we had originally had it in our 24 CIP in our 5-year plan a few years ago. We moved it to 23 and submitted that in this year's budget. After that time, they contacted us because we already had been told there was going to be a price increase at the end of this year. They then contacted us, said, just a heads up, there's going to be another 10% price increase that we weren't aware of coming, in addition to the one later this year. I don't know what the one later this year will be. On a $500,000 piece of equipment, that's a $50,000 increase. We have the money sitting in the bank account and felt like it would make sense, since we know these price increases are coming, to go ahead and make that purchase now.
We have a valid quote that once the quote is no longer valid, the price increase will jump 10% automatically. We also want to purchase the VACCON model. It's a piece of equipment that our staff has been using for several years. I don't know the last time we didn't use VACCON, and they're all familiar with it and have been trained on it. And so there's some savings in training times and so forth with that, also in familiarity. And our trade-in is going to be better with that vendor since it's that model that they sell and handle. Probably missing something else that I really wanted to tell you about, but I can't think of it right now. I would be happy to stand for any questions if any has any regarding this purchase.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple.
Yeah.
What's the normal lifespan on this truck?
So when we met with the rep on trade-ins and they said that under 10 years is a sweet spot. If you get 9 to 10 years, then it starts to really drop off, and it really depends on how much you use it. We use ours more than other cities do because we have a pretty active cleaning. So we had been thinking of moving it to an 8-year cycle anyway. So because we've already started to see some failures because our usage is a little higher. We had a pretty major failure this year. Trying to get ahead of that curve so we're not stuck trying to have a piece of equipment that's broke down that we just don't want to repair because of the cost of repair. So we're trying to get ahead of that curve. But to answer your question, they'll last 15 years, depends on how much you use it and what you're doing with it. What we use it for, I think 15 years would be way too long of a stretch. I think honestly, in the 8 to 9 year cycle, depending on how reliable it's been. And quite honestly, part of our new software that, if you guys recall, we are moving towards a asset management software. We'll be able to better track that and project that out a little better in the future too.
All right. So if you order it now, you're probably thinking it probably is 4 to 6 months out until you receive it, maybe?
It will be next year. I am knowing the way things are going. If we have it by this time next year, I would be happy.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is there other competitors out there that do this same blower jet vacuum type of equipment?
There is. Like I stated, I think our trade-in would be a little less if we went the other vendor. Our familiarity with the product would be a little bit less. And this is, at least in this area, is the pretty mainstay of what most cities use in the area. You will see these trucks in other cities run around, and I always whip my head around. I was like, that's the same one we have, so it shocks me how many of the cities use this one. But there are some other vendors out there. Our staff feels as a pretty compelling feeling, or I don't know what the wording to use, but that this model or this manufacturer is the one that they should be using, and they've had a lot of luck with it and had a lot of good success with it. And again, it's not the simplest piece of equipment to run, and they are all trained on this particular model or style.
So you and staff are happy with this model? Or
most definitely. I wouldn't bring you a sole source for that if we weren't. We would definitely bid it out, but or try to go bid it out or something. But it gets a little bit, it's hard to compare. While they all do the same things, it does get kind of hard to compare when you get up in this size equipment because they all throw different things at it, and you're not really always comparing apples to apples on these things too.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the purchase of the Titan combination jet vacuum sewer cleaner and VACCON from VACCON, Green Cove Springs, Florida, in the amount of $449,554.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Executive session 16-1, land acquisition KSA 75-4319B6.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to recess into executive session for discussions relating to the acquisition of real property per KSA 75-4319B6, Session to include governing body, city administrator, community development director, and assistant city administrator, and resume an open session at 7:13. Sorry, 8:13.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All, Joe,
Oh, wait, I didn't
He's
say
in the
aye.
other room.
did you hear him?
Do you not want to say aye?
Motion carried.
4-1.
Give me 1 second. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 4-0.
Executive session.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 4-0. All right, here we are to member items.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. And I'm glad Chip is still here because I just wanted to ask a question to you. What's considered a safe property, a safe house? I meant to ask that when you were up earlier. So what has to happen to make it safe, the appearance and everything?
Right. So we want all the trash and debris removed. We want anything that poses a danger to the community removed. What I've been instructing most homeowners and property owners to do is after the site is demolished, they still have their footing and foundation in place to go ahead and stake it off or tape it off, put caution tape around it. And I've been asking everybody to post at least 2 no trespassing signs, just so everyone's covered and protected in this. I can't guarantee that, the 8th graders down at the junior high aren't going to go ride their skateboard, into the hole. But as long as we can try to protect them as much as we can.
Yeah. So the basement hole can still be there. The
Yes.
concrete of the basement can still be there.
Correct.
But you want all the debris gone.
I want all the debris gone. Yes. I want anything that could potentially start to mold removed also. I've been finding a lot of insulation. They've tried to leave insulation in a lot of the basements and they're growing mold left and right. So I've instructed, I wear an N95 mask and I've asked DJ when he's out doing those, if he could wear an N95 mask also, just to protect ourselves.
We've had to, in my neighborhood in Lakeview Heights, come down this week and pretty much almost day to day, just behind each other. And they've done a really good job of those 2 homes that came down on Aldrich.
Yes, they have. They have. In fact, I signed both of those off in the past couple of days.
Yeah, that was very nice. We do have some that are still in there that have built up debris. So
Correct.
I'm sure you probably know which ones those are.
Yes. Yes. And I've been trying to reach out to the homeowners just to find out their schedule when they plan on trying to get these. My goal was to set the hearing dates, but not take anything to council with the hearings. I try to get them off the council's agenda, or they'll still be on the agenda, but I try to clear those homes as quick as I can.
Yeah. So well, it's nice. Thank you for sharing what the safe property is.
Okay.
So I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you.
In regards to the hole left in the ground, are we doing anything to keep people from walking into it, staggering around and, trespassing and?
To keep people from trespassing. That's why we put.
Are we putting fence? We haven't put fencing or anything around it.
We've asked for some to put fence around it. Some of the homeowners are pulling building permits right away, so they're starting like any other construction site with an open. No. Start the MEP. And also, I have met with the architects and the engineers for the YMCA also, and kind of got them lined out with some of the things. They've asked some questions of us, and code cycle they're going to use. YMCA was built 4 code cycles ago, and they wanted to know if they could change when it comes.
Yeah.
And we're going to build into the most current code cycle of this.
Is ours, Rick, the 12 or what's our current IBC?
So we are currently under the 2012 IBC,
Okay,
and then
12.
Next few months.
All right, yeah, because I think the 20's out, but we usually try to stay a few years behind.
We try to stay behind. I don't want. And there's in the 2021 code, there's some significant changes that would affect the way we build here in Wichita or in the Wichita. So I don't know if we want to take that yet until I'm always one to it out and then learn from their mistakes and then put it into.
It's like we did of what we use and don't want to use as well.
Correct. Correct. When I bring the next code to you, there will be some amendments to be adopted into that, so.
Mike and Chip, just for your information too, I have our, those are the, the folks that give the invocation. They have a good pool of volunteers still that could clean up off demolition or you're taking down stuff, but definitely helping clean up properties and areas affected. So Mike, neighbors, Chip, if you run into people, no cost, here's looking from the tornado too as well. So
the biggest ones right now, I mean, that's great that they're still out there. That it most of it now is like major construction. It's tearing up that are left from the basements and list calls and says, hey, do you have a contractor I can use? Or
So
and you
what
say,
I
here's a list.
What I generally do is refer them to WABA, the Wichita Area Homeowners Association, and they have a list of contractors that they recommend. It would recommend one over another,
Yeah.
but
and
because demolition companies, so I've given people some information on multiple demolition companies.
Yeah, that's good.
Councilman Warrington, I'll also add, WABA actually specifically made a list for the tornado of contractors for this. So it's not just the directory of members of WABA, but the people in the area that was impacted.
Yeah, that's good. Can we?
I believe it is on our website right now. We did push that out immediately following, but we could certainly push it out again.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I just, Daniel's still in attendance. I just want to say to the Parks Department, my son completed his first season with baseball. I had a great experience with the Andover Rec and we'll do it again with the rest of my kids, but just wanted to tell you, I appreciate you, Austin, and the staff. Maybe get the towel dispensers fixed, but I mean, other good job and can't wait to see what we can do with the parks in the 13th Street Park and the
golf in the Central Park.
Sweet.
And it's very sad. I mean, it's amazing. Thank you for all you've done, but it is very sad to see all the trees gone. But that's not really what I'm bringing it up for. If we have the ability to reach out to maybe the local Boy or Girl Scouts, or even, it's not as important as homes, but the park is littered with smaller debris everywhere, and we're getting ready to have GAD as well. Does make it a little challenging out there and a little dangerous maybe. If there's a way to reach out and maybe have some volunteers in some way to have groups come out and pick up a lot of the debris, or it's mainly limbs and such. And also before the disc golf tournament for GAD, would it be possible to get the over and the signage maybe cleaned up a little?
Or that I know that the association has reached out to say that they would help with things if it comes up. So I think Daniel has a contact over there as well, but they would come out and help with little things like picking up debris or just trash or something like that too.
I don't have I picked up 3 limbs. I'm like, no, I'm not going to walk back and forth. Anyway, were you going to say something?
Just going to comment that even just real recently, we had a group trying to remember the business, but it was a local business group that approached us and came and had a cleanup day. And you're right, there's still a lot of stuff out there. Some of it has been a little more when you lose. Amazing how much little debris. I mean, it's easy to see the big stuff and pick it up, but we've had a lot of help from a lot of people, and it's been very, very opportunities for some of that ongoing to continue to do that. Did Yorktown Parkway, we found stuff from 1 year ago in the hedgerow. So we'll probably be picking stuff up for a long time.
So you're saying you're understaffed for a tornado?
Yeah, that would be a fair statement. We are not staffed to handle a tornado. I guess.
I'm embarrassed, man. Pardon me?
Had approached us to do that.
Douglas Street, right? And I'd like to say that the city staffs, one of the city staff seen my son-in-law out there working right there by the sidewalk. And he got out of his vehicle and asked him, hey, is there something we did that caused this and how can we help to fix it? So it's kind of people that work for this city that they're go the, because that's not normal for somebody to see you in your yard digging around a sprinkler head saying, hey, did we cause this mess? And of course, my son-in-law said, we'll take care of that. And he said, not necessary, but it is kind of, we have that kind of person to look out and say, hey,
That would have been Matt Perez, your
Yeah.
engineering technician that is overseeing the street rehab project.
and it was a sidewalk that they were working on that did but it was pretty neat. They asked me if I knew who it was. And of course, that's one of the people I have to my recollection. I don't know, but it was pretty nice to have a staff that does that kind of thing.
Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 4-0.